Well, now that we've discussed the subject of the devil and help the person to appreciate, what the devil really is in one's life, and basically the devil is where one is in one's life at any point in time, in relation to, a Christ-like person, a person that walks the straight and narrow path, always makes the best perfect steps forward and upward. Okay. Not that those best steps forward and upward are the best steps for you, but for them that they were. Okay. Now, appreciate all this is perception, because in reality, everybody is on the best path for themselves, and there is no devil. But the devil is something that we have invented, and so what I'm trying to do, or I am doing, and I'm doing it successfully, is helping a person to understand what's going on in their head that makes them feel this negativity, and that negativity that they feel, how to deal with it appropriately so that you can live the most healthful life possible and successful life. Accomplish everything that's on your dream list and desire list, so that you can fulfill your path on this life the best, most efficient way possible, and everything support it, because you're utilizing all your resources. And so the question is, how do we do that? Well, if our location in relation to the Christ-like path, in life, is the place that we happen to find ourselves in right now. Now, if we're not happy with that for whatever the reason, then what we need to do is, sit down and think about what we would like to have in our lives, and then to pursue that course. And you will find, if you do that, and to the consistency that you pursue that course, it will arrive, in your life. It will happen. And nothing is going to prevent it. There will be nothing that'll stop it from happening, as long as you are not stopping it from happening. And that's through unfocused attention on something. A really good analogy of this is a young man trying to find a girl, a wife in life, And he's out, and he might be a good-looking fella, Let's just assume he's a good-looking fella. He's got good opportunities, okay? So it's not like all the girls are rejecting him, and he's got to pick the only one that'll settle for him, But this is, good fella, good, nothing, no marks against him, no reason why any girl that he would meet, he could be his, okay? But the issue is, though, he's got to pick one. He's got to pick one. He can't just be, browse and browse and browse. Don't get me wrong. When you're young and you growing up, and you depending on your adjustment and so forth in life, you're going to go through some stage of development, with regard to coming to understand what it takes to actually have a relationship with a woman, but in the long run, you got to pick one. And then once you pick one, you better focus on that one and make sure that one is happy, and you're doing everything you can for that one to succeed, because she's the one taking care of your nest, or he's the one that's providing the material for your nest. And the happier and more focused he is on this oneness of relationship between the two, then the more successful the relationship is going to be. And that means you're going to have children and family, and raise them to where they're going to be able to be, the continuing process of life. The snake biting the tail. In other words, the children growing up, becoming parents, being taught by parents, becoming parents, then having children, the second snake, having children, and the children growing up, you raising them best, and ideally that it's going to grow and grow and grow and be for infinity, the cycle of life, growing, multiplying, what it's doing is it's making the conscious, or the spirit there is but one reality, that's spirit, that material. And that material is our consciousness for all practical purposes. And what is our consciousness constantly trying to do? To be successful, to grow, to learn, to be better. So, I mean, what is God in His infinity doing? You know, God is wisdom and understanding, and throwing unnecessary kinks in the wheel is not something that He does. In fact, when the scriptures are plain about it, you know, it plainly says that God does not do, you know, bad things, that He doesn't. He's a God of love. And so any bad things that happen, how do they happen? Well, God has chosen to be loved, and He is committed to that 100%. So it's not coming from Him. So if it's not coming from Him, it's not something that He created directly. And so what is it? It's each individual coming up with the world they want to create from the experiences they've been in and so forth, you know, going back to Adam. And then from that, you know, we can decide what we want to do. We've got free will. But like I've emphasized when I talked about what vampires are, you know, a vampire thinks free will is I can do what I want and everybody else is just going to have to deal with it, you know. But that's not what what free will is. Free will is the understanding that God has created a world of souls, and that in order to be part of reality, to be part of that, we have to communicate with and work with and, you know, love thy neighbor, because that's what we are. We're a community of souls, the human race, not the human individual. I mean, what would you be worth alone on earth by yourself? You'd be worth nothing. And that's the point, you know. When you got up this morning, and what is everything that you rely on from that moment forward, that day, that is based on the work of others? Starting with the bed you slept in, you know, who did you make it? You know, somebody made it, but it wasn't you, I'm pretty sure. You know, and if you did that, that's probably what you do for a living, and that's it. You don't do much else. You make beds, you know, or some, you know, or every aspect that goes into your life so that you can make, you know, have that bed making thing, because the bed making thing pays the bills for everything else. But that's it. You know, and that's the point. I mean, think of an ant pile or a beehive, you know. Collectively, they be what they are. I mean, Solomon said it, you know. I mean, it's pretty basic. You know, there's a oneness of unity. What's happened, though, is that because of Adam and it's not his fault. I mean, because of needing to grow the human consciousness, you know, the child went from being nothing but an invalid that couldn't do anything to now it's growing up to be an adolescent, and I'm hoping that we're about to step into some maturity of life, to where the mature spiritual men and women are going to be in charge from this point forward on earth, so that we can eliminate, you know, all of this unnecessary chaos. You know, we can quickly raise the consciousness of mankind, because those that are in charge are the ones that, you know, or have the truth temperament necessary to implement love in a way that's healthy for all. You know, they're based, and they base it on the oneness of God, the oneness of the Godhead, and the Godhead is exerting His mental powers consistently and continuously with infinite fidelity for His purpose. And we know that because the world around us is that. And we know that He's given it free will, and that each soul has the right to do what it wants. And they all have to start at zero. They have to start at ignorance. And it's been a collective ignorance that mankind has been overcoming for the last 6,000 years. And this is the result of it today. And the fact that I'm communicating this information right now is proof positive that it's been successful, because it's brought me to a point where I understand the connection between the need to recognize the oneness of God, which when we do that, we recognize the oneness of all mankind, and then we begin to realize the oneness of the spirit realm, so that although things appear to be separate and unique and individualized, and individual components of reality, in reality, everything is just individualized components of one reality, a synchronicity between everything. Even my presenting this information right now at this moment in time, and those that receive that information from this point hereafter, it will have been when it needed to happen for them, so that they can hear and see this and listen to this. See with the eyes of understanding. But so anyway, that's been my issue about this devil thing, is that it's a concept that actually completely causes a short circuit. Think of a computer program that every time you press the button, it does something, then it goes back to the same point where it wants you to press the button again, and you press it, and then it does something, and it comes right back to the point. In other words, it just does the same thing over and over, and there's nothing productive about it. Well, that's what happens to a person in a society that falls prey to believing that they don't have control over their destiny, because there's some ominous force out there constantly trying to get even with them, or to give them some comeuppance or whatever. It's just not true. We learn our lessons and move forward. We don't have to keep learning them over and over again until somebody else decides that we've learned the lesson. We have control over our free will. And we don't have control of our free will if somebody else has the right to keep throwing monkeys at us without, out of the blue. Like being in a horror movie. See, that's what a horror movie is. And they're really easy to make, because anything can happen in a horror movie. I mean, anything. Things pop out of invisible air in a horror movie, if that's what you're doing. To create suspense and panic and fear and whatever, and, to make the story. And that's why they're so popular, is because it's there's a surprise element in them, and there's some it's a childish it's one of the paths through childhood, is to overcome fears. But the fact of the matter is the world isn't a horror movie where things just pop out of nowhere. It's a world of cause and effect, yin and yang. You reap what you sow. You plant flowers, you get flowers. You plant a particular type of flower, you get that kind of flower. If you don't know what the seeds are, you just know they're flowers and you plant them, whatever you get, that's what it is. But if you want a certain thing, you plant that. You want azaleas, you plant azaleas. You want zinnias, you plant zinnias, and you'll get them. If you want to plant a mixture of them, that's fine. Make a beautiful garden, a nice arrangement. But, that's it. In your life, you decide what you want. Now, if you decided, or the religion that you believe in decided that it believes in a devil, and you've taken on that concept, then you've inherited a concept that's not healthy. And your whole life is going to be affected by it. Whereas if you take on the concept and understand that God is one, and that any apparent suggestion of a devil has to have a meaning, but it can't be that God created an enemy, or even would allow a powerful enemy to have free reign without a person having direct control over it. And that's what we're talking about, is a person learning their lessons because they are the ones creating the lessons that they need to learn. That's what we are as individuals. And it's based on our previous experience, starting with an infant child. Our lessons are learning how not to poop in our pants, that's the lessons we're learning, how to feed ourselves, without getting it in our nose, those are the lessons, and we start from there and grow up, and we become more and more and more. God is fertile. And just like God is all powerful, he's all reproductive. I mean, think of our bodies, trillions of cells. We don't have to think about it. Our bodies continue to reproduce cells moment to moment. It is the life itself. And that's what we are. God is continuously reproducing. So the question is what is he going to reproduce? He reproduces according to what the consciousness of itself wants, sees that it wants and it needs, but in the long run, it's facing love. That's what it's facing. So it's facing a world of inclusiveness, a world of balance, a world of variety, a world of beauty, a world of peace, where everyone knows that we're all on the same side. Yes, some of us believe a little differently, but that's okay, because their story in life, the mythology they want to believe in, that gives them sense of the world, is a healthy mythology. It leads people to being good people, moral people that want to, make it to where the world is a healthy, happy place for everyone. Now, if you want to call him Santa Claus or Jesus or Buddha or whatever, just so it brings you to a happy conclusion, because in reality, the spirit, is all of those things. It's that variety. I mean, think of all the different varieties of plants and animals, and within each variety, all the different size horses and looks of horses, or dogs, or cows, or chickens. And we're humans too. There's a variety of humans. We have different appearances, and we some of us adapt and fit better into different environments because for historical reasons or whatever, natural temperament. And the reason why is because that's what we were naturally drawn to. So anyway, recognizing the need to reevaluate our beliefs is what this is all about. Jesus talked about, or I say the Bible scripture talks about, I think it was John that said, guard yourself from idols. And that's what we're talking about. To believe any particular thing in the Bible is set in stone, and we have to revolve around it and never get any date for it. I mean, that sounds like an idol worship to me. There's nothing in the Bible. I mean, Jesus himself said it. He says, you will do greater things than I. But again, the success of overcoming the belief in the devil as an individual is a spiritual and mental maturity and a growth where you be actually becoming an adult child of God. And that's what this is about, becoming adult children of God, recognizing the reality of things, recognizing the falsehoods or the unrealities that are around us that we live with, and learning to help others also, to live in such a way that others will be able to overcome this mental handicap, and then eventually, all men, we're going to get into balance. I mean, we're heading toward paradise. Whether, here we come. This world is being shepherded by the one, and we as individuals can be, secondary shepherds, and that's what this is about. Teaching the truth, or helping people to come to understand the truth, or the unfolding truth, because that's what this, there is but oneness. There's a synchronicity between all. And so we should not fear death for ourselves or for others. People need to experience the life that they are experiencing so that they can grow. Well, hopefully I've made this point clear as to what we're dealing with. It's about It's about recognizing the kind of love that we want in this world, and then seeing what we have to do on a spirit level, on a truth level, to make that love appear. And what we have come to understand from all this knowledge that we've been gaining over the last 6,000 plus years is that if we consistently do things in a loving way, in a current loving way, it's adjusting love as it will be needed as mankind unfolds and changes and evolves. And if that is done, then mankind will consistently move forward and grow. That was the issue really with Job. Job, was questioning the integrity of his children, doing sacrifices for them. Well, that questioning of integrity basically led to him manifesting their destruction and the testing of him as an individual. He was doubting God's ability to work through his children and to accomplish his purpose through his children, and recognizing that they might find a better way to serve God, or a newer, unfolding way. And basically his lesson learned was that God's got this under control. We don't have to doubt it. We should have faith unquestioning. And in the long run, it's all going to work out too. There's no losses. These people that are vampires today that we talked about, one day they're going to get it, okay? And they're going to figure it out. And they're not going to be vampires anymore. All spirit, whatever it is now today, is going in the direction of love. I've mentioned that already about how, there's in the shape of a knife or shape of any tool, there's the edge, and then there's the edge that gets worn off, and there's the part that lasts forever. Even a human body, there's the part that's here temporary, and then there's the part that lasts longer. But eventually the whole body is recycled. Eventually, it's a living organism, or a higher state of living organism. Whereas a knife, it doesn't transition that much, and that's what we want to become. We want to become like a knife, to where the part that we lose is so minimal, because we're so connected with the oneness. We're so in tune that for the most part, we stay intact. We are immortal, or immortal for all practical purposes. And I say that because we're not talking about a physical body. We're talking about a spirit creature, an individualized soul of God that has been given basically a stamp of approval, because it's basically living in harmony, or will fit in and be in place when that second picture appears in the future, when God's finalized purpose for mankind is realized. You will have a place. You will fit in. And there's going to be some of everything. Things aren't going to go out of existence completely. I guess the question is what do you want to be for eternity? I'd like to be a man that can have a nice place to live, and plenty of space for his wife and children, a nice nest to grow up in, and a lot of nice neighbors around that my children can get to know and be friends with, and of course, make bonds and grow, and eventually I'll have a community of people that are related to me in different ways, but in no way, shape, or form would I want to hurt one of them, regardless of who they are, whether I'm directly connected to them or not, because it takes a whole community to raise children healthy, and so we all have to work together to be one united family under the oneness. I like to use the word oneness or all, because it sort of takes the connotation of any religion or any flavor out of it. It makes it plain that there is nothing else. The all is mind. One mind. And that one mind is growing and developing and maturing, just like an individual grows and develops and matures. And that one mind is given us a little spot to, a brain cell that we are, that we're doing our best to become something worth keeping. And the ones that aren't worth keeping will be recycled. They'll, whatever they are now, they'll start over again and be given a chance to grow and develop and mature. God don't have any dead children. He doesn't have any dead spirit. He's got some spirit that needs to be developed and matured. He's a body growing, maturing. Just like we are a body growing, maturing, constantly going from one phase to the next. He's just on a phase way, way, way up higher above us. We're just down here at the below. We're still embryos for all practical purposes. But, eventually we're going to be a sun, or a moon or whatever, depending on who we are, what our personality is. Think of the planets going around the sun. Some of the planets are quite close. Understand Mercury is the closest one. So it loves to be close to God, that shining, bright, that's the Christ planet, Mercury, if you think about it that way. We want to be as close as possible. And then the next planet is Venus. It's the female influence. Don't want to be quite so close, And then comes Earth, the third. We're right in the balance. Right in the balance. Not too close, not too far. A place where, the realm of life can exist the way it is here as we know it. Because we don't know what's on the other planet. Maybe there's other stuff going on those other planets, spirits and growth and maturing that we're completely unaware of. Mankind was given the human realm, terrestrial planets as their home. I would think that's all terrestrial planets. And so humans can live on terrestrial planets, and we were given authority and rights over them. But who's to say that in other realms, there's life on planets like Venus or Saturn or whatever, and those lives are completely different and unseen by us. So I think we just need to be careful when we start sending stuff off to these other planets. We might be shooting it right into somebody's living room somewhere. Anyway, it might be quite embarrassing. No, I'm being facetious. Sophie, what do you call that? Facetious. I can't think of the word. Facetious, is that it? Facetious, is that the right word? Okay. Anyway, I think it's time to conclude this. I think I've made the points. It's about being a good person and planning your life and doing it. And that's what life is. So mote it be. Peace profound.